most of you know, we already have been to Poland, we have been to Georgia, we have been to Slovakia, and last time in Hungary. And this time we travel also rather far from our European perspective, that's to Armenia. And it's about to share the experiences, to know, to learn about how is technology transfer and research and development and innovation landscape organized in Armenia. And we are looking forward to this event. It's organized like very similarly to the other sessions. And we will be having 60 minutes for presentation, maybe a bit more. We have around 6 presentations, and then we will go into the discussion. So you are highly encouraged to ask the questions, to be interested in what you haven't known about Armenia till now, so we can ask our questions. Now I would like to give the floor to Jana, and Jana will have some introductory remarks about the project in general, and also some invitation for you, because we will be in June, we will be closing our road across Europe in the Czech Republic. So Jana, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Aleš. I would like to welcome all participants on behalf of the project Network for Grow, UNICO, and all project partners. I would like to thank to International Visegrad Fund for their financial support and all project partners for their participation of this project. Today's webinar is prepared in cooperation with the National Academy of Sciences of Armenia. And I would also like to thank you, Aleš, for moderating all of these webinars. Last but not least, I would like to invite all participants for the final project event. It's a panel discussion, and its name is Building Innovation Ecosystem in Central and Eastern Europe, sharing the knowledge. And you are welcome all to participate in this event. Unfortunately, the event will not be streamed, but there will be video recordings available afterwards. So that's it about the project, and I wish to all participants to enjoy, and I ask them to involve actively in the webinar. Thank you, Aleš.
Jana, thank you very much. So invitation was like, if you are free and able to attend, you are more than welcome to show up in the Czech Republic in June, that's it. And if you cannot make it, it doesn't matter, because we will have recording from that event, and we will be posting it on the our project website, if I understand it correctly. Is that correct, Jana?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I have to admit that today I already moderated for 6 hours discussion and workshop in the city of Ostrava here about spin-off. So I am full of technology transfer and all the things. So I'm able to relax a bit during this presentation. And I have to admit myself that I do not know too much about Armenia. So I'm very much looking forward to learn something about this interesting country. And also you will see how interesting this is in terms of research and development, innovation, and local ecosystem. If we also try to have a special guest today at the beginning, so I just ask whether His Excellence, the Armenian Ambassador in Prague, Ashot Havakimian, is here with us. If he is not, then we will go to the first presentation. So because he promised he would join, however, he would be traveling, so we might have some technical problems. So if not is the case, you will see the speakers. So these are the speakers who will take part in our short presentation. And if the ambassador will join later, just let me know, and we can always give him a floor during our presentation. So if I'm not mistaken, we agree on the special order for the presentation, and this is my pleasure to welcome Arevik Kokian, who is the head of Innovation Programs Unit in the Science Committee. So please, Arevik, the floor is yours, and we are looking forward to watch and listen to your presentation.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here today with you. So I'm going to share just my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. So now you can try to put it into the presentation mode, and hopefully it will work okay.
Okay, so I represent the Science Committee of the Ministry of Education, Science, Culture and Sport of the Republic of Armenia. I'm the head of Unit for Innovation Programs, and today I'm going to speak about the ST policy and R&D programs in Armenia. So the concerned policymakers in the field of innovation performance are the Science Committee, which is responsible for the development and implementation of research policy. It also is responsible for the management of the public funding of R&D. The other concerned ministry is the Ministry of Economy, which according to the government resolution was recognized as authorized body responsible for the development and implementation of innovation policy in cooperation and coordination with other concerned ministries and organizations. And the other concerned government body is the Ministry of High Tech Industry, which is comparably a new ministry, and is formed to create conditions for balanced development of high technologies, digital, cybersecurity, communication, and innovation technologies. So these are the main government bodies that are dealing with the innovation performance and innovation policy. Science Committee, as I told, is responsible for the development of research policy and has the main objectives of it are the sustainable functioning and development of science sector for economic growth, national security, educational, cultural, and social progress. The other goal is the preservation, enhancement of ST potential of the country, implementation of efficient system for ST personal development, and integration of science, education, and industry. So the science policy is designed in the action plan of the government program for 2021-2026. It had been adopted in November of 2021. Currently, we have the state law on science and technology activities, and we are working with that law. But a new law on higher education and science is developed, and now it is in the phase of discussions within the different ministries and at the government. So after the adoption of that new law, there will be some changes in the other policy documents as well. So the 4 pillars that are mentioned in the government program for 2021-2026 are the legislation which plans improvements for better regulations. The other pillar is the infrastructures, the renovation of infrastructures. The next one is human resources, which plans the increasing of the qualification of scientific personnel. And the last one is the efficiency of public funding. Regarding the legislation, as I told, after the adoption of the new law, the following documents would be developed and adopted in the coming future. So the first one would be the strategy of the development of the sphere of science in 2022-2026. Actually, the strategy that was functioning has already expired, and the new one would be adopted soon. Then there should be developed the priorities of the development of science and technology in 2023-2027. Then the criteria of structures of research organizations, the categories and criteria of scientific staff, and there should be also some changes in the funding mechanisms. That regarding the infrastructures, then it is planned to have new modern equipments, and I'm happy to tell that we have already purchased several very expensive and important scientific equipments which are located in the research organizations already. And there should be creation of centers of joint usage of equipment. It makes sense because when a scientific equipment is very expensive, there is no idea to have several of it. So one can be settled in a center, in a research center, and the other researchers can use them for their work. The renovation of scientific centers, and already there are several laboratories that have new renovations. The optimization of research infrastructures supposes that the research organizations that are small but have the same scientific directions, that work in the same field of science, they can be united and joined, and in this case some resources can be saved, and it will be useful for the researchers, so the research landscape would be more efficient. There should be also creation of a national foundation for investments, the creation of technology transfer agency, which is planned in the system of the Ministry of Economy. And the last one is the international agreements in the fields of science and technology. And here I tell that we have, Science Committee has a number of international agreements with different EU and other countries. Last year, at the end of the last year, we got associated to the Horizon Europe EU Research and Innovation Program. Before we had been associated to Horizon 2020, so this was the continuation. Yes. Regarding the human resources, I'd say that there are programs supporting the PhD students and young researchers. There are some postdoctoral research programs and midterm and long-term programs for increasing qualifications of the researchers in the advanced organizations abroad. So regarding the efficiency of the public funding, it is planned the optimization of organizations that receive basic funding, attestation of researchers and their salary normalization, and there is already a table formed for this, the methodology of evaluation of research organizations' performance. There are integration programs which plan 5-year grant scheme targeting the foreign and diaspora scientists to provide support and create mechanisms that facilitate their transfer return to Armenia. There are investment programs of unified electronic platform of science management. So a common electronic platform is going to be developed under this point. The R&D performers, so the organizations that are doing research in Armenia are the biggest one is the National Academy of Sciences, which has 34 research organizations, institutes in its system in the different fields of science, natural sciences, humanitarian, etc. So in all the fields of sciences. Researchers work also in the universities, in the laboratories. We have also research organizations under the ministries, like institutes under the Ministry of Healthcare, under the Ministry of Economy, and so on. There are also private research organizations, which also are quite active. So this is here you can see the R&D expenditures in GDP. It makes the 0.48% of the GDP. Actually, it has increased almost 80% this year in comparison to the previous year. And if you can see from the graph, so this is the only time that we have such kind of increase in the science budget. So the funding mechanisms. The funding mechanisms that exist in Armenia are first basic funding, which is given to the research organizations, to the public research organizations and universities for preserving their infrastructure. It makes the 72% of the whole science budget. The other type of funding is the project-based topic funding, where the beneficiaries are the research groups, and in this case, it doesn't matter if the research group is from a public research organization or from private. So in this case, the researchers form their groups and represent projects to science committee, which later are being evaluated by the experts and get funding. So the third type of funding is the goal-oriented funding, which has the 0.55% of the whole funding. So in this case, the public research organizations and universities are the beneficiaries, and in this case, the projects, goal-oriented projects, are quite bigger projects, and they can be from different research organizations or universities. They can be combined, and they can be mid-term or long-term, up to 5 years. And so they should correspond to the ST priorities of the country, and they should meet some requirements of the economy. So the idea is that if something is required for the development of any kind of any branch of the economy, that's say healthcare or I don't know, agriculture, so these projects are targeted to solve that kind of problems. So the programs that we have in Science Committee that we are funding are quite different, and we organize competitions within the frame of the project-based funding. We have very different competitions targeted to different types of research. We have artificial intelligence and robotics projects in this field. Artificial intelligence and robotics. We have applied research projects. We support projects of dual purpose. We support projects where the leaders, team leaders are women. We support PhD students and have separate programs for PhD students and young researchers, even for young researchers for making publications. We have support programs for modernization of research infrastructures, programs for the launch of scientific groups and strengthening laboratories, support programs for advanced research topics, and extra funding for researchers working with high efficiency, and support programs for strengthening the scientific groups and laboratories. And I'd like to speak a bit about the applied research projects, which are being funded since 2011, and they are targeted to the achievement of concrete applied results. I'd like to say here that these are the projects that have innovation potential, they have commercialization potential, and they can be later invested in the market. So these are so they are targeted to the achievement of concrete applied results, and the projects have co-funding, should have co-funding from the private sector. Private sector is the business which is interested in the final results of the project, so it's the potential user of the results, the outcomes of the project. The level of co-financing is at least 25%, so it had been different from year by year, but it's around 25%, and the duration of the projects are 2 years. So it used to be 2 years, but last year when we had some kind of competition, we funded projects for 2 years, but told them that they can get 1 year more funding if they, after the 2 years completion, they have good results, which are which can be discussed in the technology transfer agency, which is now being formed in the system of the Ministry of Economy, and they can bring a recommendation letter from there and their feedback that it's really really makes sense, that can be commercialized and useful in the market. So in that case, they will get 1 more year funding to finalize the outcome and to start the commercialization process. So the maximum funding is 30 million Armenian drams. And the projects are selected on the basis of independent expertise. So probably that's all. And yeah, and I'd like to tell that there is also an innovation performance review of Armenia, which is developed by the United Nations Economic Commission Europe, by the request, on the request of the Armenian government, and it's a quite comprehensive document on the innovation performance of the country. Actually, it had been done in 2015, but now the government of Armenia has required the UNECE to restart the process, just to see the follow-up, how many changes had been since the first publication, and the UNECE is now developing the innovation for sustainable development review of Armenia, which should be published by the end of this year or by the beginning of the next year. So that's all. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be here today. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Arabik, thank you very much. For the presentation, it's excellent to have such an overview at the beginning. We will keep our questions to the discussion. I already have 3 for you, so we will enough time to talk about after the other presentations. So now I would like to give the floor to Mary Zakarian from the Ministry of High Tech Industry. which is a great name for the ministry. I think this sounds fantastic, the label. And if I'm not mistaken, we agreed with Yana that she will be sharing the presentation, the Mary's presentation, if I'm not mistaken. Or we can just try, because we had some technical problems. Like always we have some troubles.
If it's possible, may I try once again? Maybe I
Okay,
can
we will
share.
try once again, and then if not, it doesn't work, then we will just do it from Jana's computer. It's no problem.
Oh my God, why? Yes. So can you see my presentation?
Yes, now we can see your presentation. It's fantastic. Perfect.
Great. Great. Just let me just close it, come back to you, and after I will share once again. So, hello everyone. My name is Mary Zakharyan. I'm from the Ministry of High-Tech Industry of the Republic of Armenia. Firstly, thank you for the invitation. It is an honor to me to present what we have been doing in Armenia in order to promote high technologies and high technologies in Armenia. For this purpose, I present a small presentation to you, and just let me just share the screen and go further. Okay, can you see it, slides or not? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see the presentation, but it's not in the presentation mode. So can you go down one more slide just to see whether it works? Okay, now yes, do it this way. That's we can see it. Yes.
Can you see it already?
Yeah, we can now see the STEAM education from school to industry. That's the second. We can see the second slide.
But why can't you? Okay. Can you see this? Okay, let me just go further, and let's start from the technological educational part of our society, and let's start from STEM education from school to industry. We have many success stories. One of this, let's say, the TUMO movement. Why I call it TUMO movement? Because it started about 10 years ago from one center in the heart of the capital city, Yerevan, and has been going further. The TUMO Center for Creative Technologies is a free after-school learning initiative for teenagers under the age of 18, and TUMO provides educational pathway in animation, game development, web development, programming, robotics, etc. And the objective is to enhance youngsters' horizon and make available the necessary resources to realize their creative potential by helping unleash talent and gain competitive skills. At the end of 2-year course, students undertake the challenging project in one of those focuses areas. TUMO has hubs in Yerevan, in the rural areas, and with TUMO boxes operating in neighboring towns. Outside of Armenia, there are centers in Paris, Beirut, Moscow, Tirana, Berlin, Kyiv, Lyon, etc. Within the framework of the TUMO Armenia campaign, there will be more than 100 TUMO boxes connected to 16 fully equipped TUMO hubs across Armenia and beyond. The TUMO boxes is an easy-to-build, transportable, and fully equipped mini TUMO center where students complete the self-learning portion of the program. TUMO Labs present the educational direction of the TUMO Convergence Center, which is a tuition-free applied science and engineering hub that connects higher education with industry. In this case, anyone over the age of 18 can participate in the program designed specifically for TUMO Labs. EU TUMO Convergence Center of the Engineering and Applied Science has launched in March 2019 by the European Union by partnering with the TUMO Center. It is going to be a new educational ecosystem that brings together research, education, and startups. According to plan, there will be constructed approximately 15,000 square meters of building space in Yerevan. And another educational campaign is establishment of the Armand engineering laboratories, and Armenia engineering laboratories were established by the Union of Enterprises of Advanced Enterprises in 2015. At the Armenia engineering laboratories, kids are introduced to science, technology, engineering, and math education through interactive after-school classes, competition, innovative camps, and etc. Now UAT explores the Armenian model of technological education all over the world. So by now there are more than 600 engineering laboratories operating in territory of Armenia, Georgia, and India. And the Ministry of High-Tech Industry. Let's move forward. I'd like to introduce you to the technological centers, to the Armenian technological centers, such as the Engineering City. The Ministry of High-Tech Industry is deploying the establishment of Engineering City as an environment of engineering companies with the purpose of facilitating and accelerating the development of complex engineering solutions. According to this project plan, several buildings will form the complex, such as Museum of Science and Technology, Space Museum, Business Accelerator, etc. The Engineering City is a result of public-private partnership between the government and consortium of private companies, and the corresponding convergence center of Engineering City, the corresponding core center for engineering and applied science, is proposed aimed at significantly increasing the number of quality of Armenian engineers and technology professionals and raising the quality of technology education in universities. Vibrant technological centers.
Mary, I am sorry, I just because we are just watching the second slide, if you are moving it or not.
Yes, I move.
So this is just now we can only see still the second slide.
No, I'm already shared a slide called technology centers. This is the third slide.
No, we are still on the second slide. So try to click on the left side on the and you had to share the slideshow on Zoom. Yes.
Let me just share it once again. Sorry for this inconvenience.
Now that's the Engineering City. Now it's technology centers. Yes.
Yes, technology centers.
Yes.
The Armenian vibrant technological centers such as Gyumri Technology Center and one other technology center supports youth and private support youth and provide incentives for innovative business idea and companies through education, acceleration, mentorship programs, etc. And Gyumri Technology Center was established by the Enterprise Incubator Foundation, the Armenian government, and with partnership with World Bank. The goals of the center include development of technical and business skills, promotion of technological entrepreneurship, and one other technology center also was established by Enterprise Incubator Foundation in partnership with World Bank, and focusing this. The aim of this program, the aim of this center to decentralize technological activities from this center to rural areas. Let's move to the boosting from idea to business. It's part of the ministry program. So for the purpose to boost the Armenian ecosystem from idea to business, the ministry has many short-term and long-term programs. In January 2020, the ministry has started a series of grants named From Idea to Business. The purpose of these grants is to assist potential individuals, startups, and companies to grow their idea to turn into successful business. And under the umbrella from the idea of business during this COVID pandemic period, the ministry provided grants to mitigate the COVID-19 impact on tech ecosystem and neutralize the consequences of the coronavirus. In the framework of our programs, we provide tax incentives to IT companies, which is our next priority in the direction to promote sustainable growth in the technological field and supporting the innovation startup ecosystem. In this regard, one this ecosystem supporting mechanism is the legislation on support to the IT sector with the view of progressing a knowledge-based economy and providing favorable financial conditions. Thus, according to the Bill on Government Support on the IT sector, new startup companies are granted tax privileges such as 0% profit tax and only 10% income tax until December 31 of this current year. And recently, the government of the Republic of Armenia signed the decree according which the government reimburses 50% of the monthly income tax paid to the employees. And it is another incentive to promote the ecosystem. For the ecosystem building program implementation, the ministry has already engaged the Armenian leading universities, incubators, and accelerators as an ecosystem building consortium member. It is very important to highlight that the Armenian high-tech ecosystem responded to the pandemic crisis by using digital technologies and digital solutions. Similarly, people have switched where possible to online modes. So we have been keeping the path of development, and additionally to promote the vocational education. In Armenia, the Ministry of High Tech designed the University Private Sector Cooperation Program. It is a broad program for regular dialogue between companies, educational centers, and universities. In the scope of this program, about 20 courses were organized. Even in this pandemic situation, the program keeps heading forward, and it has more than 1,000 alumni, and 30% of whom found jobs or are undergoing their internship program at the leading Armenian companies. So, connecting ecosystem to the diaspora. Connecting ecosystem to the diaspora and beyond. Actually, it is. Let's move forward. And actually, it is natural for the Armenian ecosystem to host many local and international meetups. One of this is 7 Startup Summit, which is attractive. Which is very attractive to international leading investors, angels, venture capitalists, policymakers willing to meet and join their peers and start cooperation by entrepreneurship. The NERUSH program, NERUSH Tech Startup Program, is designed to introduce diaspora entrepreneurs to the possibility entrepreneurs and to make possible to realize their business idea in their homeland. And the Diaspora Tech Startup Program named NERUSH because in this means of attracting Diaspora Tech Startup Program named NERUSH is a mean of attracting diaspora tech and business talent back to homeland Armenia. And NERUSH is Armenian means in Armenian, and it means potential, but it also play on words which directly translated means internal strength. The program aimed to enrich the Armenian startup ecosystem by promoting the inflow of innovative, scalable tech startups from diaspora to homeland, as I mentioned before. And another program is Virtual Preach, which is aiming at connecting Armenia with the world's leading technological centers using the Armenian scientific mindsets, talent, and the potential of diaspora. This program, in the scope of this program, the Repair University courses are provided to young entrepreneurs. And alongside this program, the Ministry of High Tech Industry support Armenian companies to promote their businesses beyond Armenia, and we support our companies to participate to international expos, and we provide a common Armenian pavilion and help them to promote their products during these expos. So this is from my side, and thank you for
Thank you very much, Mary. So now we can go to other presentation, which is Vardan Gevorgian, the advisor to Chairman of the National Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So if I can ask Vardan, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Do you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can see your screen. We can see it. Perfect.
Thank you. So, hello, dear colleagues. I will speak about situation in Armenia by presenting one specific case, like a sample, our company example, as a classic technology-based company founded by scientists in Armenia. And later I will switch and will tell what we do and what we are planning to do to help other Armenian scientists and engineers to commercialize their technologies and innovations too. So my background is physics. I'm PhD in physics. And during my PhD years, our scientific lab, in our scientific lab, we found out that we have technology which has big potential and it can be applied in different fields and be commercialized. So because it was years 2005, 2006, and there were no any word about technology transfer offices in Armenia, and there were no any organization which is supporting Armenian scientists to commercialize their technologies. So we decided to start our journey by ourselves. And I started to learn about this commercialization topic. I participated in different workshops and trainings about commercialization of innovations and technology transfer in different countries. And in 2008, we founded our company, which name is Precision Sensors and Instruments. And our goal was to develop new class of high performance sensors on the basis of new technology that was invented by our scientific groups. So it is classic scientific based company in Armenia. And in order to fund our first investors, we decided to present our technology in global security challenge competition. It is technological competition organized by London Business School, and thousands of companies, startups, technological companies are participating. And as a result, our company was proud winner in ASEAN semi-final competition in Singapore and one of the top 6 technologies in the world final held in London later in November 2008. And it was our first step where we could found our first investors, and we started our journey, and still we have investors and we are working with them. And at this moment, we are producing sensors which sensitivity is superior to the sensors that are in the market. And our main markets are border security market, because we are producing border security sensors, seismic sensors, which can protect different territories and borders. And also it can be applied in oil and gas exploration market segment. And also our second field is medical sensors. So we are producing medical diagnostic equipments which are ready to commercialization and which can be used in mobile devices, and also medical diagnostic instruments which will serve doctors and medical institutions for detailed and continuous monitoring of human bodies. So this is example how in Armenia, and our company is not the only one, so there are different science-based companies which started their journey of commercialization by their own, because there is no still any technology transfer office which support our scientists and our institutions. And the problems that we faced, real problems. One is the lack of technology transfer offices, I told, because still at this moment in Armenia, we have no any technology transfer office which is supporting our scientists to commercialize their innovations. And one of the big problems are lack of knowledge about commercialization of innovations, because this is the field that is a big field, different fields and knowledges that scientists must learn and try to discover all this field in order to commercialize their innovations. And also one of the biggest problems are IP regulations and protection. Sure, we have IP laws in Armenia, but in reality, most of our universities, institutions, they have no contracts about IP. And so their employees, they have no regulated contracts with their employees. So who is the owner of technology, who is the owner of innovation? In the case of commercialization, how much percent is getting institution, lab, scientists, investors? So this is still the field which must be regularized, and also connected with IP protection. Even if we have IP laws, there is still not so clear. So Armenian scientific companies, groups must register their innovations and get patents or no. So even if they get patents, will they able to protect their patents in big countries and compete with big companies? So this is the questions that still we must regulate in Armenia. I think this is real problems that Armenian scientific companies and scientific groups met when they try to commercialize their innovations. And in order to help our scientific community and our institutions, already 12, 13 years, I am organizing seminars and trainings in our universities, our institutions about commercialization of scientific innovations. And I am trying to prepare our scientific community for this technology transfer office and to the commercialization. And the main points of the trainings and seminars help Armenian scientists to understand the process of commercialization of scientific innovations, understand the role and importance of science, innovation, and technology for economic growth. So I'm showing them the importance, that it's very important to start this commercialization process in our universities for economic growth and economic success of end universities and institutions and whole country. So the one point is understand the potential of physicists and engineers to contribute as entrepreneurs, because many scientists and engineers, they think that they will not able to start their companies and businesses, and even they wish, they need some support and motivation. Sure, scientists are for science and their main goal is to do research and science, but we are seeing the example in all over the world where some scientists are deciding to switch to the business and manage their own company. And in this case, they need such trainings and seminars, and we need to educate them and switch to the business and commercialization. So in these seminars, I'm also teaching them to understand the steps involving in turning an invention into the product, because many of our scientists know that they must start develop their technology and bring to the product, but there are different steps they need to do, and we need to learn, teach them also. So understand the concept of IP generation and protection. This is also the big topic that we teach them, and because many of our scientists, even if they think they have some technology and they want to commercialize it, many of them, they are publishing it, because our institutions and our universities are asking to have publications. And this is the main result. The government and ministry are thinking this is the result of science. And they are publishing, and later they have difficulties with commercialization and intellectual property protection. So we are teaching them also these topics. And this is the seminars which we are going also to continue, and we want to include it in the educational, in universities, educational program, especially in faculties with science and engineering. And also what I discovered during these years being in this field in commercialization of innovations in Armenia, that Armenian diaspora is playing big role and can also and must play big role in the future to help Armenian scientists and engineers to commercialize their innovations. Because all these IT companies that we have in Armenia, all these technological companies we have in Armenia at this moment, we see that many specialists, Armenians from diaspora, founded these companies or joined these companies or managing the companies, and they are successful. So we are going to use their knowledge and expertise also in this field when we will start our technology transfer office. And I am, as a representative of Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America organization, these past few years, we are connecting our expertise with different institutions, universities, and trying to help them connect their technologies and innovations to foreign markets all over the world, because market of technologies, it's all over the world. So you must compete everywhere. And the most important that at this moment we are planning to do, and we are on the way to do it, with Minister of Economy, with Head of Science Committee, and with the Head of Representative of Diaspora, we decided finally to found in Armenia first technology transfer office. It will, under Ministry of Economy, they have National Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So it was founded years ago, but it is not real technology transfer office. So it needs to be innovated, and we will invite different expertise from Armenia, from diaspora, and we are going to have team. And one centralized technology transfer office in Armenia, which will work with all our scientific institutions, with all universities and scientists. And finally, we will start this process of commercialization of innovations, very centralized, and all scientists will have access and will get support in this field. So this is the main thing that's now happening in Armenia, and the processes in the governmental, some paperwork with Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Economy. So we hope it will confirm at the end of this year or during this year, and finally it will start work with technology transfer office. And here is the vision and mission of our technology transfer office. I will not use your time and will not read it, but the main vision is to help Armenian scientists and engineers to commercialize their innovations, which will bring benefit to universities, to scientific groups, and also to the economic growth of our country. And at the end, I want to say that in this process is very important cooperation with you, and such events are very important because, as I saw in last our meetings, in your countries, you already founded technology transfer offices, you have big experience, and I'm sure our problems and your problems are mainly the similar because of our past history, some past post-Soviet Union history. So we will happy to cooperate with you and learn from you, and learn from you main problems that you met, which will help us to skip these problems and finally found this technology transfer office in Armenia. So this Ministry of Economy and National Center of Innovation are hoping to cooperate with you in the future during this technology transfer office foundation process. And I am, as a volunteer, already 1.5 years advisor to Ministry of Economy, to National Center of Innovation in this topic. And we will happy to cooperate with you and discuss that problem in the future. Thank you.
Bogdan, thank you very much for very interesting presentation. I believe that we will have some also questions and comments in our final discussion. And now I would like to ask Bagrat. He's ready. He's the director of Enterprise Incubator Foundation. So please, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you for the invitation and thank you for interesting presentations. Let me share my screen. Okay.
Just one more comment, as Jana noted in the chat, all the presentations will be available at the project website, so you will be able to have them and to read them once again. So the floor is yours.
You can see the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm representing Enterprise Incubator Foundation. It's one of the largest IT high-tech business development agencies in Armenia and also in the region. So we are 20 years in the market. So I don't go through to all our projects, all our activities for the last 20 years. And I will concentrate in some of the our new initiatives which are related to science and activities related to science commercialization. So we started from IT, and we're very active in different using different instruments and tools in technology areas. And when during the last 3-4 years, we see there is a good cooperation between IT, high-tech engineering teams, and also the scientific teams. We try to understand so how we can be useful also in developing an area of science. We know that there are agencies, ministries, National Academy of Sciences, there are big attention to that. Also in our universities, we have some research activities. So we have research institutions, and I'm very happy that Mr. Papoyan is also here, one of the top, head of one of the top institutes. And we find out that there's still a gap of efficiency gap in using the traditional commercialization or technology transfer instruments today when the world is changing. So the world is changing, the technologies are changing, the institutions and the workings, investments and other activities are changing, but we're still trying to use some institutional approaches, tools or instruments, which we think are not efficient. And we are baby in this field. So there are more experts that can contribute to this discussion. But during these 3-4 years, we piloted an interesting activities and we have an interesting success. First, one of the first pilots, so we provided specific grants to start startups in the tech area when they have a big portion of research, theoretical research activities. So usually when you are applying for the grants for the IT, for engineering sectors, when there is a research component, when the question mark is big, so they are not eligible for such a type of activities, but majority of the grants are for the idea generation or for the business development, and so for the ideas which can grow fast and later will be good for equity type of investments or other type of investments. And when in our during the last 10-15 years, when we're providing the grants, and the most of the grantees have been rejected because they have the intensive research component. So we did a first pilot providing the grants to the specific startups and the companies to help them in the longer term to finalize their research, but on the other hand also to test their product and solutions in the market. So it was a big challenge. So on one hand we are dealing with the scientific theoretical issues. On the other hand, we are trying to use fast-growing startup type of activities, moreover to raise some equity and other investments. I think that we had really interesting examples, and the tools were really effective. And we tested 2 types of the projects. One for $15,000 for more idea stage research. The second one for more large type of the research, which is 50,000. I want to stress that these are the different than the ministries or other agencies are providing for theoretical types of research. So these are the specific support, which on one hand you are contributing to the research activities, but on the other hand also you are looking on creating a tech startup with specific solution, which is fast growing. So we learned a lot on this, and we have a really successful projects and activities. Some of them already raised several $1 million equity type of activities. Based on that, we decided last year to create a new, it's a crazy but an interesting name, a science incubator. So we're incubating only teams and the companies which are involved in a pure research, and the areas we're covering it mathematics, modeling, is material science. We have a little bit of electronics, physics, also biology. So we are trying to.
Bagrat, I'm very sorry to disturb. We probably have a news that the ambassador, the Armenian ambassador, join us. I thought, so maybe he will be here just for short time. So
no problem.
His Excellency, if you want to please enter into our presentation and say a few words.
Hello, do you listen to me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm very much sorry to interrupt you. I just arrived in Montenegro now and had this possibility to welcome you. I'm very happy and very proud that today we have this opportunity to talk about Armenian technological advance. And as being ambassador to Czech Republic, I'm really welcoming this initiative and thank the organizers, and very much welcome all the participants. Wish you good discussion and wish you much more knowledge about Armenia and its new technologies. So Շատ ուրախ եմ ձեզ բոլորիդ ողջունել եւ հույս ունեմ, որ հետաքրքիր քննարկումներ կունենանք եւ մեզ հատկապես շատ կարեւոր է որպեսզի եւ Չեխիայում եւ այս բոլոր երկրներում, որոնք դրանով հետաքրքրված են, դուք առաջին ձեռքից այդ տեղեկատվությունը տաք։ Շատ շնորհակալ եմ, շատ հպարտ եմ ձեզանով եւ կարծում եմ, որ լավ զրույց կունենանք։ Ինձ կներեք, ես ուղղակի անմիջապես ինքնաթիռից եկա եւ ասեցի անպայման մտնեմ, որպեսզի ձեզ ողջունում, կներեք նորից, որ ձեզ ժամանակավոր stop տվեցի. I'm sorry very much again for interruption and wish you very, very fruitful discussion. Thank you very much, all of you.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. I realized that I have to still work a bit on my Armenian language because there was not much I could understand. So
that's why I tried to do it also in English.
Yes, perfect.
The English was almost the same as Armenian.
Thank you.
Same wording.
And thank you very much for joining us. And now we will continue with our presentation. Thank you. Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
So I'm sorry, Bagrat, for interruption. So you can go on.
Okay, so it's a great pleasure, and thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for joining us. It's a great honor for us also. Yeah, let me try to continue. I think the second experiment, as I told, we started after the providing grants and the lessons learned to try to institutionalize this effort. So we called it a science incubator. So we're trying to work with teams and companies, and even in some cases some research institutions, to try to not only provide funding but to see what is missing. So what is missing to create the bridge between the theoretical science and practical startup creation, and also we are speaking about the fast-growing startups, and try to get from these research activities interesting global products. Well, I'm saying global because we are living in a small country with a 3 million population with a very limited market, but the solutions in tech, in science that the country is developing are for the global markets. So this is also another big challenge which we are facing. So here the ingredients of the soup are very interesting. So first, we are dealing with the two different types of the people, which should be in the same team. Entrepreneurs, risk takers, who are startup creators, persistence people who are working without any strategy and they're succeeding during the process. On the other hand, researchers, the people who are doing their research in long term, are trusting more in the long-term activities, the funding and etc. are not big issues for them. They don't think it's a big issue. So I think this team creation, I think the mixing of the teams is one of the interesting activities that the incubation itself is providing. The second interesting thing that we are trying to intervene and to help. So, okay, let's assume that theoretically it's possible and we have an excellent result in a specific area. So where are the markets? How we're going to reach that market? We are using nice words, commercialization, technology transfer, etc. But in real life, we have really different challenges. And we are not speaking about the research to apply to the certain grant from EU, from Armenian budget, or from US budget, or whatever the country's support programs on the science. We are speaking about the money which is invested by the private investor, especially when it's coming to the equity investors or venture funds. So this is the money which are looking for the fast growth. So this is another challenge that we're trying to solve with an incubation, which is very, very interesting. And we have really successful examples. So this is a very new endeavor based on our experience on the grants and this bridge, this new type of promoting science or science. I don't want to call it science-based startups, but startups which are using theoretical research, which is very important for their product development. And the one thing that we are trying to also to secure a certain number of equity investment. So this is another culture. For most of our researchers, the grants are fine. So you're getting a grant, this is okay. So it's government grant or private grant, whatever. So this is money which definitely needed for the development of science. But a little bit you are changing an ingredient, saying, okay, this is a funding, but the person should be in a partner. So maybe he cannot come up with the questions and asking what are the growth and etc. So this is, we're coming across entirely different cultures, entirely different languages. Just like now, the ambassador was talking the same stuff in 2 different languages, but it's entirely different stuff for us. We don't even recognize, we don't even listening the words in English and Armenian, we can not even get that they're the same stuff. So this is here, even they're talking about the same stuff. The investor or the researcher, they're for their ears are it's entirely different thing. And also, in addition to that, we started to create an ecosystem environment around that with a good cooperation. I'm very happy that we have a good cooperation with National Academy of Science, with the Ministry of Education, Science, and the Science Committee, with the High Tech Ministry, Ministry of Economy, and other partners. I'm very happy that institutes are very helpful. We have amazing institutes which are helping in these activities, and also the private sector, which is really started to contribute to this process. And what is interesting, so we started also to add some other ingredients in this ecosystem. So you will be surprised what are skill development. So why are scientists need skill development? But we find out that there are certain activities, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Papoyan was one of our trainers in one of the scientific training stuff, so like a project management and some other things. So there are some skills that we understand that our scientists are lacking, and we started to provide to them. Another thing is the branding. When you're in engineering sector, branding is important, but you can solve this problem by showing your product. If tomorrow you are developing a BMW or Mercedes and the test driver saying they are the similar, so it's easy to access to the market. When I'm speaking about tech and science, so the trust, the brand, it's a big issue. And for most of the investors, etc., even investing in such a type of endeavor, the trust is 80–90% because there's nothing tangible. So you're talking about investment, there are big investment, you're talking about equities, you are talking about the promises, but there's nothing tangible. So trust, this brand, is it doable, there's success stories, is possible, is very important. So we tried also to pay attention to this branding type of activities. The last one in my presentation, I will speak about, I will tell that another important factor are multinationals who are doing research. Multinationals in technology and innovation, they're important because they're absorbing all knowledge from the world, and when they're entering to your country or investing in your country or opening a branch in your country, they're transforming in 1 second all this absorbed knowledge during this long period, and also during this diversity from the countries in 1 second to your place, to your country. Because if you are not on the level that they are doing activities, so they don't need you or you don't need them. Here, it's very important multinationals who are doing also pure research. I'll bring an example. This is very interesting. The National Instrument, it's an American company in engineering, one in testing devices and autonomous vehicles and etc. So they doing an outsourcing type of activities in Armenia, engineering outsourcing. So this is a typical stuff. But during the last 5–6 years, by working with them, with the universities, and also doing some research activities, Armenia became one of the top research centers in the world. There are only 5 research centers, and after Austin, Texas, the second one is in Armenia. So this is another interesting branding or another type of the trust, and also an ecosystem creation when the multinational with their knowledge, they're not only doing just an outsourcing or product development, even solution development activity, but they're also investing in type of the research. So, and also with some multinationals, we have an interesting activities. We're funding PhD students, master students. We're funding the research institutions. We're calling them faculty grants. So we're trying not to concentrate just on a specific 1 or 2 success, which is important, by providing grant or including them in ecosystem, in incubation, sorry. But also we're trying to create environment around them. So I will stop here. If there will be any other question, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think we are getting to know Armenia already. I feel like at home. And now we have two more presentations left, and the first one is Liana Karapetian. So, Liana, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alesh, and hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here and hear the presentations. We all share the same space, and it's interesting to hear different perspectives to this. So my name is Liana. I'm representing SmartGate VC. I've been part of the investment team at SmartGate VC for the last almost 3 years. Currently, I'm leading our angel investor network, which is in California. And from the investment perspective, I'm more into our biotech portfolio and deal flow. So very briefly said, we turn science and research into business ventures. I'll give a brief background on what SmartGate VC does. So we are a California and Armenia-based pre-seed and seed venture capital fund, currently investing parallel from our first and second funds. The first fund was backed by Tim Draper, One Way Ventures, and other institutional and individual investors. Our focus is deep tech, so we invest in deep tech companies, and deep tech for us is mostly AI. We invest in AI infrastructure, AI-enabled SaaS, and recently we have a more focus into computational biotech companies and also neuroscience. Currently, our portfolio is 23 companies. Alongside the venture capital fund, we are running technology hubs that we call hero houses. One is based in Armenia, the other one is in Glendale. So those are technology and entrepreneurship hubs that host, we host over 100 companies annually. We provide the space, the resources, and our own expertise to anyone who come across hero house. Apart from the physical, it's also a co-working space, but apart from the just the physical space that is home to different community events, home for people for using the space as an office space, it's more about the community that has shaped around Hero House over the years. And the community is mostly includes tech entrepreneurs, professionals from different walks of life, but all of them are somehow connected to tech and scientific entrepreneurship. People who are investors into different companies from in our portfolio and wider Hero House community, mentors, advisors, and so on. But within this wider community of tech entrepreneurial people, we also launched different more specific communities around specific niche areas. For example, we recently, a couple of months ago, launched the BioML community, which is physically in Armenia, but we still have members from around the world. So this is a community that connects researchers, engineers who are solving computational problems in healthcare and biology, from drug discovery to ophthalmology to gene editing and like bioinformatics and other areas connected to biology and healthcare. On this model, we are currently launching a BCI community, but this is already in our technology hub in LA, but again, open for anyone around the world. It's just physically, the events are happening in LA for now. But the BCI community is going to connect people, again, technology people and scientists who are solving different problems in brain-computer interface. We have a community of AI, ML engineers because like all of our deal flow is on this space. And so these communities provide a platform for a virtual platform or a space where people meet in person. But the idea is to connect like-minded people, to nurture discussions, nurture collaborations. And for us, from the VC fund perspective, it's like first access to the experts in the field and also first access to the companies if they ever start one. And then in Hero Houses, we also run startup programs. We have 2 startup programs that we run in Armenia and then 1 startup program in LA. And those are structured programs, just as every other startup program. They have the time frame like 12, 15, 20 weeks, depending on the program, and a special design based on the stage of the companies. Like we have a startup program designed for very early stage, prototype stage companies, and then startup programs that we run in Glendale that's targeting companies that have some traction. They have considerable user base, they have paying customers, and they need support on intensifying their growth, scaling in the US, and so on. So based on their stage, one of these startup programs is more relevant. So when we talk about investment opportunities for us, for the fund, usually there are two cases. One is when we are approached by a team, or we just meet a team when they have the technology and they have the clear business problem that they're solving. They know the business application of their technology. In the second case, we meet individual scientists who have the research, but they don't necessarily have focus on commercialization, or they don't maybe have the skill set for commercialization. And that's where our tech transfer efforts mostly come in. And what we do in this space, we help to transform commercializable IP into a business venture. So whenever there is a scientist, could be a PhD student, could be postdoctoral researcher, could be a professor who have the research and they need support on commercializing it, where like we put our minds, we put our time, and we put our capital into building the business. We guide entrepreneurial scientists to become more business oriented in case they want to, because oftentimes the scientists don't really want to leave their lab. And in these cases, we are there to find potential CEOs for the company, someone who can run the business side, the research commercialization process. But if the scientists, they want to lead the company themselves, we are there to provide the necessary skill set, as was just mentioned by one of the speakers, the necessary skill set that they need, because from the transformation from a scientist to someone who can start and manage a business, because again, those are very different. Starting a company is one story, and then managing and scaling a team is another story. So we're always there to support, especially during the first 1-2 years, try to pass this whole process with the founders. Regarding the third point, as I said, if the scientists don't want to leave their lab, we try to find someone very relevant in that specific niche who can run the business, who can take the CEO role for the company. And then as they get into research commercialization, as they get into the industry, there's also a need to hire engineers, and we try to leverage the talent in Armenia and also wider Eastern Europe, and use the resources here as home ground for R&D. So when we talk about our role into this whole process, there are two main ways that we come in, the Smart Gate VC comes in. So one is capital support. And when I say capital, it's mostly about the fund investment, because in essence, we are a venture capital fund. We make pre-seed and seed investments. And then apart from the VC fund, we recently launched an angel investor network, which is, we launched it in November last year, but currently it's a 60+ member network. So whenever we make an investment from the fund, we then refer the opportunity to individual investors. And this is just one more investment resource for the entrepreneurs. And then apart from our own investment, we always help the entrepreneurs to get co-investors for that round, or if they raise a follow-on round and we don't join because it's not like part of our investment phases, we cannot join, for example, a Series A round, we always help them to find a lead investor or co-investors for that round. So one major area that we come in is capital support for the companies. And then the other way is the venture building itself. And talking about venture building, there are a couple of pillars, building blocks in this process. One is the startup programs. As I mentioned, we have at the moment 3 startup programs, and the founders pass through the startup programs, get access to our network, get access to our resources, get access to the industry experts. And it's mostly one-on-one work with every company participating for the program. And then apart from this structured way of working with entrepreneurs, tech scientific entrepreneurs, we work with them very closely on a custom basis. Like it doesn't mean if there is there's a startup program going at that moment, if there is interesting research that we think has potential, has interesting business application, we work with this team or individuals very closely, trying to understand the business side of the research, where it can be applied, who could be potential customers, and everything else that involves in it. Match with the CEO, I briefly talked about this, but again, if there is a need, we try to find a business development expertise to join the team. Hero House network is an important asset for venture building, because this is a very huge network who bring different skill sets to the table, and there's always someone who has the very specific niche expertise that can be helpful. It could be just a friendly 1-hour conversation with someone very relevant, could be later translate into a longer partnership with someone from the network. So it's just about the resource, the human capital that's in the Hero House network. And then we support with team building. It's mostly about R&D setup, support with R&D team setup, but it's also about just helping the team to hire, to get their early hires, because it's like one of the hardest aspects of starting a company. The first 10 employees usually set up the tone, the culture of this company. So we always also try to help in this. And then the back office support, which includes every like tiny triple of company building, starting from finding an accountant all the way to finding an office space and anything that can come up along the way. So those are the two main ways we get into research commercialization, capital and venture building. Supraannotate is one of our investments, one of our portfolio companies. It's an end-to-end platform for annotating, training, and automating computer vision pipeline. The company started in 2018, and the backbone of the company was a PhD research in KTH Institute in Sweden. And then the founders are two brothers. One of them was doing his PhD in Sweden, and then they decided to leave the university and start a company based on the research. And so the early days of the company building was happening just in Hero House, just next room to where we sit. And then currently the team is over 100 people, and not only from Armenia. They've hired people across the globe, have secured over 17 million investment, currently at Series A stage, have big name investors, mostly from Silicon Valley, like Basetain, Point9 and others, big name customers, Nissan, New York Times, United Airlines and others. So this is a typical, and we have been very closely involved in their venture building in the early days. Not now anymore. I mean, we are still in touch, of course, but the early days, the first 1 or 2 years of venture building, that's where we mostly come in. And then this is another company, which is one of our recent investments, Biosim. They're building a computational platform for small molecule drug discovery, blending AI, quantum chemistry, and molecular dynamics. And the founder of this company is a professor at the University of Maryland. We met the founder 2 years ago during our conference. So we run annual conference, Science and Technology Convergence Conference. And then we met during the conference. And then it's just a very casual conversation finally resulted to a company. Again, we helped to set up the R&D team in Armenia, and up until now, we're working very closely with them on trying to understand how to grow the business, like whether it's through partnership, whether it's through collaborations with a pharma company, smaller biotech companies, etc. So the very like weekly calls with the team, trying to shape the company in early days. This is it. I'm happy if there's anyone in the audience, any scientist who is interested to explore his or her research, try to, if you have commercialization in mind or just brainstorming on different things, I'm happy to talk. I have my email and the QR code takes you to my LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out. And thank you. Ales, back to you.
Liana, thank you very much for very dense presentation and very interesting. And now, last but not least, we have a final presentation in our blog. So I would like to ask Aram Papoyan, who is the director of the Institute for Physical Research. And Aram, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ales, and thanks for invitation to this very interesting and exciting event that is very important for Armenia right now, I think. So do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, and if you put, yes. The
Okay.
only thing which I can see is I can see your pictures, you know, on the right side with your screen. If you can please make it smaller, the pictures of us.
How to do it in full screen mode?
Try to do it in.
Okay, maybe I can switch back to
Because you share the screen, and with the screen you can also share our our pictures, our faces on the right side. So if you can just minimize it, then should be, if you can just minimize the view somehow. But it still we can or just move it a bit from. Yes, perfect, great. Now we can see everything.
So thanks again. As I understand, I'm the only representative of research organizations among the speakers in this session. So I will not focus on our institute, but rather generalize the topics that were announced for this meeting, and I will answer one by one these questions. This is a view of Armenian Public Research Organization on these problems. So, the first question is, how does research boost the innovation power in Armenia? So this is well-known technology readiness levels diagram. I think it was invented by NASA in 70s. Actually, so this shows the chain from basic research and idea to the product. And I have to notice that in Western countries, this chain works quite smoothly, but unfortunately, it's not the case in Armenia. So one of the problems, so this is the same, but adopted by European Union. And as we see, there are different players among this chain, starting from basic research. So it's TRL levels 1, 2, 3, or even 4 maybe. But then we have another players, and the problem is how to fill this gap between different players. And that's, I think, today is one of the most challenging tasks, especially in Armenia. So I prepared a slide why innovation power in Armenia is especially needed. And this concerns to geopolitics and I mean we do not have significant natural resources. we have a vulnerable situation with our neighbors and so on. So small logical analysis shows that we have no choice. We have to move towards high-tech industry. Arevik noticed the review on innovation in Armenia, so maybe this one is a little bit outdated, but actually if you look on this document, there are two chapters, chapter 4 and chapter 5, that directly relate to research in Armenia, and I would recommend you to look on this document because many things that were mentioned here, they are still valid so far in Armenia. So here I try to, actually it's a random sequence, but what is the current situation in Armenia? Actually, we still have very strong fundamental science. You can look on different accessible databases that the performance of science in Armenia is maybe the highest in our region per capita, or if you normalize in any other way. But the last year's tendency shows that it is going to decline a little bit, and that's because of chronic underfunding. A good point is that the state funding of science started to increase, actually starting from this year. It was the implementation of government program, and that gives some hopes to improve the situation drastically. And as I am the last speaker, actually many questions were addressed by previous speakers. Absent of technology transfer offices in universities and research organizations is one of the drawbacks in Armenia. Low level of collaboration activity of R&D with industry and notably high-tech companies. Actually, there are some links, but it's not on systematic basis. One problem that I want to especially mention is lack of students and young specialists. We really need a big flux of students to refresh, to make a new blood to our science, and not only researchers but also engineers, IP specialists, and also others. I mean, if we look not like science as itself, but on the level of ecosystem, that's what we really need to be incorporated. Absence of strong domestic industry, it's also somehow a problem. So now we have also change in the state approach, and state encourages applied science and research to industry format. What are the elaborated mechanisms to push Armenian science to innovation? It was mentioned by the first reporter, Arivik, that there is applied thematic funding program supported by the state, by the Committee of Science. We have also some funding programs like From Idea to Business, which was mentioned by Mary during the second talk. Bagrat mentioned Enterprise Incubator Foundation, including also collaboration with PMI Science and so on. This is another strong platform. Linkage of industry with high-tech community. So what we have here, some contractual research and development for companies on the level of contracts. Some research organizations have their own production, just low scale. And also there is a possibility, and somehow it works, to be jointly involved in international projects. But it's not sufficient. I think we need more systematization in order to make this process more smooth. So, coming to the second question, what actions would further strengthen the innovation ecosystem in Armenia? I will list point by point. First, we need to make science stronger. And of course, this is trivial. It means just increasing of funding first. And for many years after independence, it was just really underfunded. Good news that this year we had the increase of salaries, and this is underway, and this is 3 years program, and 3 years gradually the salaries will increase. And this is really very important in order to attract more students to our research, because they want to see sustainable growth throughout their career. It's not like some programs for youngs and then he is no more young, what to do. They want to have really a full vision of their career from the beginning to the end, and the increase of salaries is really helpful in this sense. Of course, we need equipment and research infrastructure just to upgrade what we have. In many years of underfunding, everything has to be refreshed, and new equipment, new possibilities will open the possibility to enter new areas, new research fields, and to perform state-of-the-art studies. And it's quite obvious that we have strong fundamental science today. We can expect strong, tangible outcome tomorrow. Once again, concerning the higher education, I am not fully satisfied with the situation in Armenia, because the present curriculum in universities is really, if you look the demand, so I am director of the institute, I'm employer, and if the student comes, the graduate student comes to our institute, and I speak just for 5 minutes, and it's quite obvious that most of skills, most of knowledges he has to acquire here at workplace, because it's not provided by higher education system in Armenia. So we really need to switch to real research-based education and demand-focused higher education, especially on master stage. Another lack is engineering education. So if we want to build this chain from fundamental research to industry, we need not only scientists working at research organizations, but also engineers. And this is a real problem, because actually we cannot find specialists in electronics, in mechanical engineering, and so on. We simply cannot find them on the work market. And also, as it was mentioned by Bagrat, that it's a lack of soft skills. So higher education doesn't teach how to write proposals, what is the management, what is intellectual property, and so on. That's also has to be revised. Another side of the problem is legislation. So I think we really need to change our local legislation to be more flexible and more adapted to nowadays realities. And the gap, that deep gap that we have between R&D performed in universities and research organizations from one side, and companies or industry on other side, it's not. So we speak really different languages. What actions we need to improve the situation? Perhaps it would be really a good option to create a sort of local ecosystem to cover complete chain from research to industry within the same organization. So it can be, I don't know, technological university or whatever. The place where we would have research, maybe education, specialized education, and some technology or technopark or sort of this. Creation of TTOs, technology transfer offices. It was mentioned by Vartan that actually practically no Armenian research organizations and universities, they do not have TTOs in their structure, and the one which is, as I understand it, will be created under the Ministry of Economy. Of course, it will be very helpful, but there should be, I think, at least some representative from each research organization which will bridge connection of these organizations with this technology transfer office. To create their own offices, maybe for the size of Armenian research organizations, maybe it's not the best idea. I will come back to this question a little bit later. Another point is that even if we want to enter market with our own products, I don't know if you see this one, it's occasionally on my desk. So this is very extremely sensitive photo detector, and if we want to commercialize it, So we need to pass many paperwork to get a license for measurement instruments and so on. And this is, again, we need help because plenty of documents to fill and we do not know how to do it. So our experience, we wanted to, knowing that for many years nothing was done in Armenia, in fact, we wanted to make an inventory and analysis of our IP assets, and we did it in collaboration with some international projects. And the follow-up action was creation of a technology transfer office in 2013. And the idea was to set up first internal regulations for IP management at our institute. This document we have. Compiling IP portfolio of the institute, just filling the forms for any type of activities that is potentially ready for commercialization, and building links with Armenian high-tech companies and international investors. We were participating in commercialization reactors, other events, but the efficiency was really very low because we did it. We didn't have really specialists on that. There were just 3 volunteers working with no payment, and the efficiency was really not satisfactory. And now just one slide concerning the last question is problem of spin-offs and startups for research organizations in Armenia. Here we have mostly the restrictions are legislative and also concerns the statute of organizations. Most of Armenian research organizations are so-called non-commercial state organizations. So this imposes some restrictions, limitations, and which means that, okay, let's suppose that there is a really enthusiastic team, young people at the institute, they want to make some development and push it towards market. What will be the end? If they create a startup, this startup will nothing to do with the institute. So there will be no mechanism to affiliate the startup with the institute. So research organization has really no motivation because it's already nothing to do with you. This is completely different, I mean, legally different company and so on. So it would be helpful to first, as it was mentioned by Vartan, just to have clear intellectual property regulations in Armenia. Also to have some legal regulations allowing research organizations to form some ecosystem where we will have research, startups, spin-offs, everything under the same umbrella, within the same entity. And of course, we need also some motivation mechanisms, making the win-win approach. I mean, the institute should win and also the startup should win. So this is more or less all what I wanted to share with you. Maybe there were many negative moments in my presentation, but I'm really optimistic, and I'm very happy that now all the power goes to young people in Armenia, and they will solve the situation for sure. Thank you for your attention.
Adam, thank you very much. I think the program, how it was set up, was very good because you gave a very nice summary of the whole topic, and also you answered some of the questions which for example, I would have. So this is perfect. And now we have just a little bit more than 10 minutes till the end of our event. However, as you could see during former discussion, there were not too many people asking the question, but there were so many question and answers also answered during all the presentation. So before anybody of you have any of the questions, so you can just raise your hand or just start talking, it's no problem. So please, if you are interested, maybe I would use the opportunity since I now have the microphone on. So you said, and I think it was Bagrat who mentioned that it's a small country, about 3 million population living in Armenia now. But if I'm not afraid, there are so many people of Armenian origin also abroad. So when we had a discussion with people from Georgia, they were also addressing their connection with people who are of a Georgian origin living abroad, and that was a very important issue for their development. So anybody of you, what is the role of the Armenian population living abroad? Is there a close connection, for example, with the Armenian capital outside? Could you be specific, Bagrat, if you can, or anybody of you?
Yeah, if you want, I can contribute. I think first, the size is related to the size of economy. So what I want to stress, the solutions, even in Armenia, in a small country, they're developing for the global markets like US, China, and others. So I'm just trying to compare the capacity of a small environment to give a solution to the larger environment. But coming back to your questions, I will share an interesting statistics just for IT. I don't know about science, maybe my partners will share. In 80% of the IT, you know, the IT is booming in Armenia. It's one of the top largest sectors. Employment is 25,000. It's the largest, even more than mining. Investment of all VCs are represented in the country. So keeping story short, in 80% there's a diaspora factor. So all diasporans, Armenians are investors, or they are major partners, or they are the sales channels. So this was the main reason why IT boomed a lot, because of the Armenian representation or Armenian presence in Silicon Valley in US. And later it has been developed. Armenia was the first window to this tech world. But now I think we are not only using Armenian diaspora, but through Armenian diaspora, we are using also the potential of the countries, other nations, other countries. And without these connections and without this network, it doesn't matter you are 3 million or 300 million, I think, because we are speaking about the sector or an area which is trust is important. And if you are introducing me, the story is entirely different. I need to be in your birthday party. If you are not inviting me to your birthday party, if you are not friends, I don't have a chance to taste your cake. And to your party are coming only limited number of people. So I think this is a diaspora network, which in IT we are using effectively, but still in some other sectors it should be used. About the science, I don't know how effectively it has been used. I know some examples, but I think it's not nothing. It still need to be grown. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Mary. You are also raising your hand.
Yes, thank you, Bagrat. In addition to Bagrat, I'd like to say that the diaspora in Armenian take every opportunity to open their branches in Armenia. So like Service Titan, Cognize, and Code Signal. And in Armenia we have PixArt, who is the first unicorn in Armenia. But actually, the procedure when PixArt become a unicorn is the period that PixArt becomes unicorn. It takes for about maybe from 7 to 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but actually we are trying to shorten this period, as the diasporan contribution in this issue is very big. In this area to solve this problem is very big. And thanks. It's just a small remark from my side.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So Anybody who is watching, who is just having some question? Maybe Aravik, you want to add?
Yes, Alice, thank you. I'd like to make small contribution. Actually, yes, in the science, we also use our diaspora. And yeah, unfortunately, Armenia is one of the unique countries that have more population abroad than in our country. So we have about 11 million Armenians living abroad, and Science Committee uses their research potential in different types. For example, we have a big expert database where the experts are evaluating our research projects, and in this data we have involved many researchers from abroad, especially Armenians originally, yes. And in many of our projects there should be partners. We require the research groups to have partners, foreign partners working in the advanced universities, research organizations abroad. And in this case, the researchers also find corresponding specialists abroad and cooperate with them. So I'd say that we have successful experience in this field. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I can see Ruzhenka Štembeková from the University of Southern Bohemia. So Ruzhenka, your hand is up. So welcome here. And I'm glad that Czech people are also active sometimes.
Thank you, Aleš, very much. Huge greetings from the most beautiful region in the world, which is South Bohemia. Aleš knows very well. I'm coming from the country and even specific region which is in the southern, so we have really huge cooperation with Germany, with Upper Austria, but we are very famous for the beer, so maybe just as a quick introduction, České Budějovice and Budvar. But I would like to ask you, I'm sorry that I was joining a little bit late because I had another meeting, but I would like to ask you if you are connected in the technology transfer in Armenia in any national platform, because me and Aleš are also member of Czech national platform in Czech Republic, which is called Transfera. And we share a lot of practices, bad and even also good, share also information about the projects that will be possible to apply, or another really very good information. So that is my question to anybody of you, and anytime I would like to visit Armenia, not yet, and I appreciate that Aleš will learn Armenian language. Really, fingers crossed for you. I can promise to you I will never learn your language because there is no time for it, but I'm sure that we can speak Russian or German or English. That's no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruzhenka. So any of you about the sharing experience in technology transfer? If anybody from you wants to Mary or anybody? Oh, Bagrat.
Right. Well, first of all, I think welcome to Armenia, and my recommendation to come end of May, June. So you will test also the best apricot in the world. And if not, so September, October, the technology months, so lots of events, lots of fruits, amazing nature. And yeah, we have our own beer, but I prefer your beer. So in this part. So as for the networks, I think that we have the ministry people, academia of people, there are several networks. I think this would be great to share. I think because the success is that people know each other. Even the idea is not relevant at the moment, but with brainstorming with a certain person or with an institute or team, you're coming up with a solution. Because science or technology is not just A, which is in my list. It's everything related to A, which is huge. And I think the meetings, brainstormings, and now because of this online opportunities, I think it's a great chance to collaborate. And the challenge is global. It's not only an Armenian challenge. Mr. Papuyan mentioning there's a huge lack of specialists all over the world. Go and find data scientists in US. It's no way. And other places. I think these global challenges now don't care you are small or big. So the partnership, I think, they're making an effect, and as flexible we are, as more meeting each other, as much we know about each other, this is a competitive advantage. So welcome to Armenia. Be our guest.
Thank you very much. If it will be possible, I would like to share the contacts with you, Pakrat, and even also with another. And if you will have in autumn any really interesting tech transfer event, I would like to come and to join not only the apricots and other fruits, or even I will also taste your beer, but I am a wine drinker.
Okay, cool.
But it will be really very nice. So thank you very much.
Perfect. So we are actually seeing the first networking also during the seminar, which is great, which is what we are here for. And Mary, your hand is also raised. So can you please?
Yes, just small remark again from my side. We have intellectual property agency, which closely working with the Ministry of Economy, and they are very active people, and I can just introduce them to our guest from, I can't remember her name. Just in the chat, I will write my email, and it will be honest for me. It will be very perfect, and I invite them to collaborate with our counterpart in other European countries in order to push the technological transfers procedures.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Maybe if there is nobody, I would like to ask one question to Arabic, because I was very much impressed by the intention that you mentioned, which is you talk about the research infrastructure and sharing, because there are certain instruments, there are laboratories here, there. I think we have seen this in our country and also outside, that especially at the universities, people want to have their own equipment. They want to buy it, they want to share it, they don't want to share it. So by sharing, I think we can save resources. That's the first one which you mentioned, and also we can produce a critical mass because we would have bigger teams. Do they do it voluntarily or do you force them? That was my question. How do you have any incentives for people for scientists and people in the research that they would share the infrastructure? That was my question.
Actually, the Armenia is a small country, and the research organizations are not very big, and they are not very far from each other. So they are basically all of them in Yerevan, and Yerevan you can get from one place to another so very quickly. And in this case, no, the researchers accept it as normal, so they do not have any obsessions.
Okay, so it's.
Yeah, but
yes, Bagrat.
Yeah, I think there's an important factor here, which is helping in this sharing, because they're all concentrated on a global market. They are not competing in a local market, so it's much more easy, this cooperation. And so this is a bigger. They're all going for the large challenges. So this partnership giving them more advantage. This is not just sharing an equipment, but also putting together the knowledge and going for the bigger cake.
Yes, exactly.
Not go for the small ones. And ministry is doing an amazing job also, just adding, showing as a carrot, with giving an opportunity for this to go for the larger ones, to go for the global markets.
Yes, this makes sense. In our countries or in Central Europe, sometimes the small cake is big enough, you know. The ambition has been lacking sometimes. I'm not saying always, but for some people it's enough to have a small cake and there's no ambition. So that's the thing. Okay, it's unbelievable. It's 5 o'clock already. What time is it in Armenia, by the way?
7.
7.
It is 7 o'clock. Yes.
Okay, so I think you are already tired. If I can, it's already in the evening. So I think we have 2 fruitful hours. Myself, I have to say, I have learned a lot. I have still go through all the presentation. Thank you very much, because it was we have learned a lot. We have the other international networking opportunity as here in the chat. So it's Thursday, the June of 9th in Prague. any of you from the Czech Republic or outside can come. That's perfect. We have these 6 speakers from our region. That will be like the final event of the project. However, I think we will continue meeting on different platforms. So I would like to thank you, all of you who have been presenting. You have done a great job. Thank you very much. And also those who has been, they have been watching us. And I wish you, the fine rest of the day. We still have few more hours before we go to bed. And I hope we can see each other during some other opportunities. So thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.